This is the Thursday for Thursday, January 26th, 2012. I'm Jacob Bodner. On this week's episode, Google's new privacy rules, do you trust social media, and Google Plus going after teenagers. This is your weekly source for social media news and views. Let's get started. Welcome in. We've got a whole huge heap and help of social media news for you, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into Google. Google announced this week their new privacy changes, and they're quite sweeping, and a lot of people are a little worried about them. Basically, these new privacy changes from Google would allow Google to store data on you across all of their platforms. So as you know, Google owns YouTube, they've got Gmail, they've got a bunch of different other Google services, some services you might not even know they have. And if you're signed in now, the way it works, you're signed into all of those services, right? So if you have a YouTube account connected to your Gmail account and you're signed into Gmail and you go to YouTube, it'll show up as that particular account. What Google's going to do now is say, you're watching a video on YouTube and we know where you live and we know the content of that video, and now we can not only tailor ads across all of our platforms to you based on your location, but also based upon the kind of videos that you watch on YouTube and the kind of blogs you read on Blogger and all these different things. This is obviously worrying a lot of privacy people because they're saying, well, a user on Gmail doesn't expect that their information from Gmail or YouTube would be cross-platform, would be able to be accessed on different platforms and influence advertisements on other platforms. Also, people are worried about the storage of this data and how much Google's going to store, what they're going to do with it. As of right now, Google basically says, hey, look, this is just to target ads better. We can make better ad revenue. We can give you better ads. It's going to be a better experience for you overall. The other interesting thing to note as a side note of Google this week is the fact that now if you sign up for a Gmail account, you have to sign up for a Google Plus account and vice versa. So this is interesting because if you are an Android user and you have to have a Google account, now you automatically get a Google Plus account. So that's another interesting step they're taking. They seem to be making a lot of changes. They're trying to integrate and almost unify their services to make it easier for you, at least that's what they're saying. But if you're going to be worried about this or not, if they're, I guess my particular take on it is, if it's going to give you better targeted ads, awesome, but if you're going to be storing my data and doing something else with it, that kind of concerns me a little bit. But I think the key difference here is not that they're storing any additional data on you necessarily, but rather it's cross-platform. So YouTube will speak with Gmail, vice versa, which in all honesty probably makes some sense. Some interesting news in terms of the trust of social media. The Eldman Trust Barometer tracks how much consumers trust particular modes of communication or particular ways that news is presented to them. The latest data compares 2011 to 2012, and it shows this. By far, traditional media is still the most trusted. Newspapers, television stations, and the like. 32% trust those particular organizations. That's up 10% over last year. That's followed by online multiple sources. So I feel like this would include different newspapers online, maybe particular content that's only distributed online, like something like Huffington Post or the like, maybe blogs. Coming in third place was actually corporate media at 16%. That's up 23%. The big one here is social media, only at 14%, so right on the heels of corporate media. In terms of being trusted as a news source, that is up 75% though. So this is interesting. Social media is trying to take on news sources kind of at the knees here a little bit in terms of information being reported first and accurately. It's great if you report information first, but if it's not accurate, it's not worth it. I think the big news this year that might have influenced some of these people is bin Laden. Bin Laden's death was announced on Twitter first, verified on Twitter first, not by a news agency, but by a former Donald Rumsfeld employee. So that was big for social media and the trustworthiness of social media inclining. But I do stress it is also important to keep a keen eye on that and have a little bit of distrust in social media. It is obviously free and open. A lot of disinformation can spread, especially on things like Twitter where it's short characters. Things can get lost in translation. So I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing to be a little weary of what you see on social media and verify it with other sources, but also at the same time, good to see the trust in this particular medium is going up. And finally this week, Google Plus making more news as they try to drive hard to the hoop against Facebook, Twitter, and the like. Talked about earlier that if you sign up for a Gmail account, you have to sign up for Google Plus. Almost seems like Google's padding their numbers on the social media service, and that might even get more so now that they've opened it up to teenagers. What this means is that previously you had to be 18 years or older to sign up for a Google Plus account. Now they're welcoming in anyone from the ages of 13 to 17. So the younger crowd that can also sign up for a Facebook account now allowed to sign up for a Google Plus account. To me, there are two big questions that I have to ask in this particular announcement. The first question is, will 13 to 17-year-olds flock to Google Plus? Will they even go to Google Plus? I would probably say no. I think they're probably stuck in their ways on Facebook. I think Google Plus would have to be something really, really hip and cool in order to transfer over to it. And I just don't see that being the case. I think Google Plus is really more of a social media that feeds into older people more, to a more mature audience, and I don't necessarily believe that teenagers are going to find that much gratification in it, especially if their friends aren't there. I mean, we all know teenagers are just built around social strata and social circles, and if their circles of friends aren't on Google Plus, well, then it's just not worth being on. The other question is, when you welcome in people this young, you certainly open yourself up to having to institute different safety precautions in place. When you welcome in 13-year-olds, there's worry about harassment and stalking and all these different things. So you have to really make sure that there's safety mechanisms in place for this particular age group when they come on the social media. Facebook has had to do that. MySpace had to go through that, obviously in a huge way. And so this is going to be interesting. When you welcome an 18 years old and up, it's a different story. Those people are adults. They're responsible for themselves. But now you're welcoming in people who have parents and aren't legally adults and therefore have another set of people that are responsible for them. You have to make sure you have safety mechanisms in place to make sure nothing goes wrong, otherwise it falls on your feet. So that's an added maybe headache when you welcome in this young crowd, and probably why they weren't welcomed in the first place. But Google Plus apparently thinking that they can try to attract the younger generation, steal them away from Facebook a little bit or Twitter, and gain some users that way. So that's going to be the question of the week for you. Do you think Google Plus will see an influx of teenagers jumping on to the service, or will they stick mostly to Facebook and the social media streams they're on right now? Do you think it will affect them in any way? Do you think Google's going to have some problems with instituting safety mechanisms for those people, or do you think that'll run pretty smoothly? Answers to that question can be posted in the comment section below. You can tweet them to me directly at Jacob Bodner, or you can comment on our website, redtie.tv/thethursday. That is what you need to know for the social media world for this Thursday, January 26, 2012. Don't forget to check out Status Update. Our new episode will broadcast live on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time at live.redtie.tv. There you can get your complete fill on all of the social media news and social tech news of the week, so you know how better to run your business or just enjoy the industry in general, whatever you'd like to do with it. You can check that out, redtie.tv/SU. You can check us out, redtie.tv/thethursday, or on Facebook, search The Thursday, and tweet me at Jacob Bodner on the Twitter. Until next Thursday, have a great week, everybody. Goodbye.